Perfect.
Who better than Derek, Pat, Andrew, the wrestling crew? Man, they bout to put an end to y'all careers like a finishing move. They bout to give y'all facts on these cats that's fighting on these mats. Y'all can't see them like John Cena. Even if y'all had 20/20 vision, y'all better listen, pay attention, and take notes down and realize that it's not your time now. And watch these three kings take the crown. Hey, hey.
This is Little Wicked Witch, and this is Wrestling IQ 101. Better listen, bitches.
Welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. Also at WrestlingIQ101.com. And today we have a very special... Oh, today I'm sitting with Derek.
What's up, guys?
He's also a special guest. And we're sitting with one half of the UWA Tag Team Champions, Brotein's very own TJ Blade, man, from Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy flight here, you know.
Nice.
How'd the hurricane work out over there?
Oh, it was okay.
It's okay?
It was alright, yeah. I survived that Irma.
Good to hear, man.
That's funny. So, TJ, can you kind of tell us, go back to when you first started, how you got into the business?
I always grew up as a wrestling fan. Around, I would say, about 1996, that kind of era was when I actually got attached to it. Of course, one of my favorites, Shawn Michaels at the time. But when Shawn Michaels was going up against guys like the British Bulldog, for some reason, I kind of gravitated towards the heels, because growing up with my family, they were all faces, and I wanted them, like, they cheered for the faces. They all wanted the good guy, Shawn Michaels is. The Ahmed Johnsons at the time.
Oh, man.
Warrior was there at the time. And I was like, oh, no, I want to be different. I want to cheer for guys like British Bulldog and Owen Hart. And that's always was like my thing, was to cheer for heels. And now it's like the cool thing to do is cheer for the heels. But back in 96, like, not everybody did that. So just growing up watching wrestling like that, I started liking the little things. Like, I used to like the things that, like, Owen Hart would do. Like, during his entrance, him and Bulldog would come out to the ring. Bulldog would flex, and Owen Hart would go right underneath his biceps, get right in the camera. And I was like, oh, man, that's so cool. And for some reason, stuff like that with wrestling attracted me to it.
Yeah, mine was like at WrestleMania when he starts ripping up the glasses, and he shreds those pink glasses to, like, paper. I'm like, damn, bro. I wish I had those. What are you doing? Oh, man. So you talked about being the heels, man. It's funny because you're a face. People love you.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, when I first started, I started out as a heel. I was doing my body spray gimmick. The way I broke into the business actually was with my first view on the inside the business was with Jersey All Pro Wrestling as well. All right, sorry guys.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll start over. Hopefully we can edit that out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my first view of the bit, like, inside the business, was with Jersey All Pro Wrestling as a cameraman. And what is actually, it's a funny story because I would attend shows, and as a fan at the time, I was a fan of all the wrestlers, and I would make my own little highlight videos on a Movie Maker on my Windows computer just for fun. And people on the message board at the time, this was before Facebook and Twitter and all that, the way we connected was through the message board.
Yeah.
I would post on there, post the videos, and people, oh, you got some, nice talents and everything. And I guess people from Jersey All Pro was looking at the videos as well because they approached me on helping them on their production team.
Wow.
Now, what had happened was I attended the show, and they asked me if I knew anything about, like, filming wrestling. I had no idea what I was doing, but I lied and said, I've done it before. So they go, oh, okay, well, here, you could go film the first dark match. And as a 16-year-old kid, I was scared, and I was like, okay, sure. So I kind of just sneaked my way into, I guess, get in that position with them, because I actually, at the time, I had no idea what I was doing, but as I did it and I learned more, I got pretty good at it. So that was like my first view of how wrestling was, behind, like, actually not being watching as a fan, but seeing it from a different view. And then it was, I believe, in 2009, I think it was 2009 when, 2010. Jumping ahead, 2010, I was trained by Eric Corvis. We had a ring, and Eric Corvis took time out of his summer to train a few guys, me being one of them, and pretty much was, we did the bumping drills, we had to learn all our bumps, had to do all our rolls and everything, so, we trained with him, and from there, it just was, trying to get around, get your name out there. My first actual professional match was for NWS.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Which
Yeah.
it was
Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
it was in Edison, and I got to wrestle one of my close friends, Michael Massacre. So that was pretty cool for our first match. And ever since then, man, I've just been doing it on the weekends, having fun, and trying to get my name out there.
Yeah, man. NWS, that was a while ago. That was funny. So, let's talk about this for a second. The entrance song. Who came up with that?
The Body Spray song?
Yeah, the Brotein song you guys have now.
Oh, the Brotein song. Okay. That was actually from my trainer, Eric Corvis.
Okay.
He had suggested, he said, hey, I found this song for you guys because, we had just formed the Brotein Pack, and the music they were using before, they wanted more something that would, fit the three of us. And he kind of was like, hey, I found this. Check it out. And when I'm going to be honest, when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, I hate this. This is terrible. I can't enter to this.
Well, that's the selfie song.
Yeah.
So
it's a parody of the selfie song.
Well, it's so perfect for you guys right now, though.
At first, I admit I hated it. I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. As we came out with it, show after show after show, it started catching on. The crowd started catching on to it. And, now I enjoy it.
yeah.
Nice, yeah. It's a good song. So can you kind of tell us, like, when you're training with Eric Corvis, can you just tell us, how was your experience with him, and kind of like, just like what you took away from it, like what, like things that stuck with you that he taught you, whether it's wrestling or even something, mentally or, anything like that?
Training with him was very intense. It was, this was during the summer, and, this guy's out here wearing a long sleeve shirt in the ring, and we're drenched in sweat, and he's just like, come on, get up, do it again. And one thing that he was very persistent, and he was, if you didn't do it right, you had to get up, you had to do it again. He wouldn't let you move forward until you did it the right way, which was, it was a hard lesson because, some things were a lot harder than some of the other things that he had taught us, but he would not let you move forward until you completed that task, which was, a really good lesson. Another thing about Eric Corvis is, I would say what I took from him the most would be the way he looks at things as his creativity. He'll ask you why are you doing this? Or what's your motive behind doing this? Or what would happen if, this really happened to you? How would you feel? What would be your emotion behind it? And I've always took that into my matches as if, what's going to happen? Where are we trying to get to with the story? What are we trying to feel? What are we trying to get across to the crowd?
Nice.
Absolutely, he is pretty creative. He used the steampunk stuff like that. Remember we went to the show, because he had Time Traveler, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But so we had Archadia on, and he talked about his relationship with you. Can you talk about your perspective about your relationship with Archadia?
Me and Archadia, we have a really good relationship in and outside the ring. In the ring, I feel like every time we have a match, there's something about it that just, we click and everything just flows so naturally. And I feel like I know where he's going, and he knows where I'm going, and we just, for some reason, have this chemistry where we can grab the crowd, and I've yet to have a bad match with him. Hopefully, we never do, because I love wrestling Archadia. And then outside the ring, me and Archadia are really good friends, and he's also taught me a lot about wrestling and about life in general. He's always supported me, whether it's with the gym, my diet, or even just, asking him for life advice. I always go to him, and he usually, well, all the time, I don't want to say usually, all the time guides me in the right direction.
Nice. So, you also, you've had the opportunity to work with Grimm's Toy Show as well. Can you kind of tell us, like how did that opportunity come about?
I actually got connected with Grimm through Brandon the Bull.
Nice.
And he was like, hey, Grimm wants us to go, film some stuff with him. He does a YouTube channel. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out and see how it is. I mean, it's always fun there. Grimm, he's a good guy. There are people that have specific opinions on him and what he does. Me, I'm a very laid back guy. I just like to entertain, and that's what I do when I go. And I wrestle for him is I entertain. He is targeting, I would say, a different audience.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a wrestler, you have to know what audience you're trying to target.
Yeah.
So when I do Grimm's Toy Show, I'm targeting that certain kind of audience, as opposed to doing a indie show in a high school gym when you're targeting a different kind of audience. He's very successful on YouTube, and a lot of people, you go on Twitter and everybody's talking about Grimm's Toy Show. His videos get a ton of views. I mean, he's having fun with it. I have fun when I go there. I actually was just there this past Sunday. I love going there. It's always a good time.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. I was going to say, what are the differences, kind of like, let's say when you're working UWA and working Grimm's Toy Show, like as far as like preparation or anything like that, what's like the differences?
I would say more so is when you're working with Grimm's Toy Show, it's more so you're targeting more of a younger audience. So I tend to be a little like, more lighthearted and more, I would guess you could say, more goofy-ish. Not so much. I mean, still anything, I still perform as if I was performing on a show, but more in a lighthearted way. Gotcha. As opposed to if I'm wrestling on UWA, and my story at the UWA show is to, I'm feuding with a tag team or something with my partner Seaway, or I'm feuding with somebody singles, I take that emotion and I bring it into a more serious aspect at UWA.
Gotcha.
So, we'll talk about UWA. What does UWA mean to you and the progression that you've seen since you started there to now?
UWA will always be my home. There where I pretty much everybody, not only, the thing is, the difference with UWA and everywhere else is a lot of UWA guys are friends of mine outside of wrestling. And I've known them for a long time. So I'll always be my home, and I'm always welcome there. There's always, that's a different feeling going there as opposed to going to different shows. And the success that it's had over the last couple of years, I love it because there's so much passion behind the company. Mm-hmm. And it's just, from what it started out as and to what it's become now, is such a long shot. And, I like that it's pretty much, for the most part, a lot of the same guys that were there from day one. So these are the guys that built the company and were there since day one. And we've worked so hard to try to, put this product out there for people to see. And now I'm finally glad that it's getting more eyes on the product and more people are coming to shows and the production value's up. Everything's just going great right now for them.
You're going to need a bigger place.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wanted.
Yeah. I hope we could sell out South River every single month and we have to move out of here.
I thought the high school was a great spot for you guys. With
North Brunswick
High School, yeah.
I thought
we could get there again. I mean, if it means, more success for the company and more success for us as wrestlers, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hopefully it continues to grow. And
yeah, you guys have really a really loyal fan base as well. So kind of like the same perspective how we were talking about the locker room. Kind of like, what do the fans mean to you as well?
I love the UWA fans. Again, just like the wrestlers, I feel like they might even be more passionate than the wrestlers when it comes to the shows. They come. Yeah. The last show I did, I come out there in intermission, and there's people with custom TJ Blade and Mike Seaway t-shirts. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, like this is nuts how much it's taken off. And as being as guys that, we're not, we do UWA Elite, World 1. We do some, couple local shows too as well. But we're not, these guys that are, huge names. So, like, when we see that at the UWA shows, it, to me, it means a lot that these fans actually, and I've talked to a lot of them, and a lot of them are very passionate and very, UWA means a lot to them in their life, and they look forward to those shows, and they look forward to seeing us, and look forward to the matches, and they get into it. And if I'm making a difference in someone else's life, then that's great for me, and great for them that they can enjoy that time. And things in life, it gets rough, and if somebody else can enjoy that Saturday night out and they have a fantastic time at the show, and I'm one of the reasons why they had a fantastic time, that makes me feel good. And I hope that, they take all that joy in and turn it into a positive thing.
Definitely.
So you reside in Gainesville, Florida. You made your debut for SWF in Avenel. Can you talk about that night and what that meant to you? You said it was your home, right?
Yes.
Hometown?
I reside in Gainesville, Florida. But all my mail goes to Avenel, New Jersey for some reason.
Oh, man.
So, yes, wrestling in my hometown. Avenel is a very, very, very small town. Literally, you could drive into Avenel and in 2 seconds be in Woodbridge or be in another surrounding town that you could, pass in a blink of an eye. So to actually have a show running in Avenel, I thought was really, really cool. And a lot of people from my town actually decided, hey, they're always like, hey, I'll come to a show. I'll come check you out. But most of the time I'm in South River or South Jersey or somewhere not as close. When I came to Avenel, they're like, oh, that's so close. And it's great to see my friends who wouldn't normally come out to a wrestling show on a Saturday night come out and watch me perform and see what I can do. And I've actually wrestled Scotty Too Hottie in that building, which was a phenomenal match. And Scotty was great to work with.
Yeah, man. Scotty's pretty cool, man.
Also, Coco Beware in that building.
Wow,
oh,
man.
nice.
Yeah, Birdman. That's awesome, bro. Talking about the big stars, you and Seaway, you got into a match with the Spirit Squad. How was wrestling those two guys?
Spirit Squad were great. Kenny, I follow him on Instagram, and his workout routine and just everything is just phenomenal. I love everything he's doing. Mike Mondo's great. I was just trying to pick their brains while we were talking and everything, and they were very, 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 very cool to be in the ring with and very respectful. That night was very special for Seaway and I. We were very nervous going into it. That was our first big match as a tag team, and I feel like we delivered. And at the end of the night, Kenny and Mike each shook our hands. So hopefully we gained their respect as well. It was just an overall fun night.
Which is kind of weird because you guys don't usually book big WWE name talents. Usually it's just you guys.
Yeah.
The last show I think you had Joe Gacy.
Joe Gacy came in.
And so you guys don't really. It's what you guys have built on your own for the most part, and then maybe some outside guys every once in a while, which is what I like about UWA Elite. The spotlight's on you guys,
yes.
And then that when you bring in a star, they're able to contribute to what you guys do.
Yeah, and not only having the Spirit Squad come in, also the UW had brought in Matt Stryker at a time, which I actually had the opportunity of wrestling him and Tommy Guns Cobra in a tag team match, teaming with Dynamite Davis. And again, Matt Stryker, really cool guy, tried to pick his brain as well. And Stryker, was super easy to work with. Gave us, no issues, and that's what I liked about UWA is that, when guys come in, and Stryker was like, hey, you guys, here, be the spotlight. He wanted us to shine. He told us, I'm not here to, I'm not going to be here next month. You guys are, shine, make yourselves look good. And, I appreciate that someone, because sometimes, you get some of these, talented names, they come in and they don't want to do anything, or they're just there to sell their 8x10s and get out the door. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's true. But, Striker was super cool. I was actually very, very upset I was unable to attend his seminar earlier in the day. But when work calls, you gotta make the money.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing about like UWA is as well is like people might not know if they don't go to UWA, but like you guys put on like awesome matches. It's like like from top to bottom, the whole card. You always know like if you go to a UWA show, like 9.9 out of 10, every match is like going to be great. And that's one thing like I love about going to UWA as well. And it's just so awesome. It's because it's like, it's you guys. It's not like anyone else coming in and like doing anything. It's like, it's amazing. I love going there.
I feel like that's what makes UWA special too, because I feel like not only is the crowd so passionate about it, but the guys in the back are constantly competing with, our peers. Someone goes out there and they're like, oh man, this person had a great match. It's like, all right, we need to, keep that momentum rolling. We got to have a really awesome match too. Yeah. And not so much you want to try to be better as the next guy, but you want to make that show just keep, keep rising up. If the first match is really good, second match, make it, good. Third match, good. Fourth match, it starts peaking, until you get to that main event match where, the crowd goes home happy.
I have yet to not go home happy from those shows. Let's talk about World 1. All right, the first time I saw you there, you and Archadia off the match from Setting the Standard. How was that match different for you compared to Setting the Standard, which was an incredible match, by the way?
The Setting the Standard match was really special, as the show as a whole was a tribute to Dynamite Davis, and still I miss him so much, and that show just brought the UWA family together, and the amount of people that packed in the building in South River was amazing that night. And just when I made my entrance, I swear to you that Davis was in the building that night, because when I came out through the curtain, just this energy just swept through me. And I just looked at the ring, looked around at the crowd, and I knew that Archadia and I were about to put on something that nobody that night was going to top. And from the feedback I've heard, I never like to, toot my own horn. With the feedback I heard that, we did have a phenomenal match. And again, that's just Archadia and me. For some reason, we click, and it's always awesome. Going to World 1 then, and doing the match, it was awesome to have the opportunity to go somewhere else and show a different set of fans that match and what we're capable of. And again, we got a similar response from the World 1 crowd after the match. So, if in a dream world, I would take Archadia with me and we could go and do this match all around the States, maybe go to Canada, go to Mexico if we could. Go all around the world and do this match in a perfect world.
Nice. So, talking about the Brotein Pack, can you just kind of tell us, like how did you guys form that? How did you guys come up with that whole concept and, become a tag team altogether?
It's actually a funny story, and this is a true story. At the time, I was in from the beginning of with UWA Elite, and so was Dynamite Davis. Mike Seaway actually was a commentator. Actually, I believe he started as a ring announcer first. And he transitioned into a commentator, which then transitioned into a manager. And then Seaway had been trained to wrestle and was going to wrestle for UWA Elite now. So, I had returned as a face after I took some time off. And Davis had just come back. I believe he had just finished up with his college, and then he was, getting back into wrestling. So they paired Dynamite Davis and Mike Seaway together as a tag team. And at the time, I was kind of just floating around as a baby face, kind of doing 6-man matches and fatal 4-ways, and not really having any real direction with the company. So we were approached at the Middlesex County Fair when it was supposed to be myself and Tommy Guns Coburn versus Mike Seaway and Dynamite Davis. And it was the iWrestle event. which is where the fans choose what kind of stipulation they want for the match. So the poll options were a tag team match, pose off, or a dance off. So, and now UWA Elite, when they do the iWrestle show, it is real voting. This isn't, part of the show. This isn't,
it's not like WWE.
Yeah, it's not where
Hayes calls up 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So, whereas we get to, the fair that day, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're probably going to do this tag match. Should be fun. So, and we're approached, and we get told, hey, you guys are doing a dance-off. That's what won the vote. I swear to you, my face dropped, and I was super angry about that because the Middlesex County Fair, especially on the Saturday night show, is usually when we get our biggest crowd, and the crowd's packed around that tent. You want to perform in front of this crowd and get your name out there, and they want me to dance. They want this white guy to dance in front of a bunch of people.
Oh, man.
But, and like I said, I was 100% not for it at all. So Davis actually comes up to me and he goes, oh, well, if we're going to do, the dance off, I'm going all out. I'm going to do the pinball machine, and Seaway's going to throw the fishing rod to me, and he's going to reel me in. And I'm like, dude, you're going to beat us for real. And you guys are the heels. You can't, they got to cheer for the faces. And so they're going over it. And then I was approached by, I believe Dave Swan, saying that he wanted to form a new trio and that I was going to turn on Tommy Coburn in that match. Well, I don't want to say match in that dance off and join with Seaway and Dynamite Davis. So I was like, oh, okay, so I get to turn heel. And as I said earlier, I started out as a heel, and I feel like that's my strong point in wrestling, would be playing a heel character as opposed to a face. So I was for that. I was like, okay, cool, I get to be a heel again. This should be fun. And we did the turn after the pose off. The faces had won, which shockingly, because the dances that Tommy Coburn and I did were absolutely horrible, and I refused to watch any of that footage from it. But we won, and we did the turn, and the crowd reaction for that turn made me just change my whole perspective on how I felt earlier when I was not for it. And after I did the turn, how the crowd reacted and how they, they started booing me and everything. I was like, okay, cool. They're invested in this. This is cool. We didn't wrestle, but they're invested in this new trio that's starting. And as it progressed, we all got, our, everything together. We said, let's all, the matching gear. Let's, keep running with this, because we started coming up with trio moves, and it just snowballed from there. And once we won the trios titles there, that helped elevate us a little bit more. Then they pushed us over to the tag title. So now we were the trios champs and the tag champs. And Seaway had actually won the Ironman championship. So now this company has gave us all these belts to shine and become this, huge force. And going into this year, we had actually, unfortunately lost Dynamite Davis. And that took a huge curve into the direction that we were going with that, which then transitioned us into faces.
Yeah. What do you personally see as, you guys' greatest accomplishment? Because you guys, you won titles, tag team of the year, tag team cup, you won that as well. It's you guys won everything basically. So what do you see as you guys' biggest accomplishment?
I think our biggest accomplishment was becoming a trio that actually, we connected together. I wouldn't say anything about, yes, we won the belts, we won, the tournament, we won the Tag Team of the Year award, but I think our biggest accomplishment was taking 3 guys and putting them together, and not only did we become great friends out of that, but we also were having so much fun doing it.
Definitely.
We would talk about, hey, we're going to do this next month. Hey, we're going to do this on the next show. And it was constant. It was a bond of 3 friends that, took this opportunity we were given, and we just took that ball and we said, let's run with it. Let's make this, as big as we can make it.
So, did it deter you when you were not being, booked the way you wanted to before the Brotein Pack came together? Did you have things like, maybe I should quit, maybe go somewhere else? Did that ever cross your mind while you were just kind of in the flow of things?
Yeah, it did cross my mind, and I feel like it's crossed every single wrestler's mind at the point when they sometimes question themselves or their direction of what's going on. Everybody wants to be, a big star and wants to be a guy, people look forward to coming and watching wrestling. And at the time, I felt like I was not, and I completely put the blame on myself because I had stopped caring about dieting, going to the gym, trying to get myself booked elsewhere. I kind of was at the time running through the motions, and it did cross my mind that, maybe, I should quit. Maybe, this isn't really for me anymore. But I'm glad that I was able to get over that. And because if I would have walked away, I would have missed out on a great opportunity of creating the Brotein Pack and creating those moments we had together.
Yeah.
So what do you give as advice? What would you give for anyone that's like just starting out in the wrestling business?
I would say to just, listen to people who's been there before you. I feel like a lot of people's mistakes when they first get into wrestling, and I've made them myself, was that they want to do a lot of stuff, and they want to do, a lot of the moves, and they want to do a lot of the, cool stuff and the dives out of the ring, which it's cool to do. And then they look cool and everything, but I feel like some guys should focus, like, I wish I would have done it too when I started. It's all more so like the little things, is learning how to do the little things properly and learning how to grab the crowd and see what the crowd's reacting to. Because that's who you're performing for, the crowd. You're not performing for, yourself. You're performing to entertain the crowd. And if you can grab the crowd and get them invested into your match, get them invested into your story, get them invested into your character, that just helps you overall. It helps the show, and it helps the overall match quality. I feel like a lot of guys, like I said, they're thinking more of what's going to be the next coolest GIF on Twitter as opposed to,
Yeah, right.
Seeing who they're performing in front of them. Going back to what I said earlier too about knowing your audience. Sometimes, you could do, I've done it where I tell the crowd that I'm not a chicken because they're booing me, and the crowd starts chanting chicken at me, and they just, and then, when it's time for me to, get under the crowd's skin, I start, start barking like a chicken, or, start doing the chicken wings, and they start booing you more. And it's just like, just knowing that's like, it's more so, when you got, like those NWS shows, and
kind of reminded me of Bobby the Brain with the weasel,
Yes, and that's what made Bobby so good was, and that he knew he was not afraid to make himself look bad at the expense of entertaining the crowd. And that's one thing I loved about Bobby the Brain Heenan, was that he knew how to entertain the WWF audience, even if he had to look like, I remember it was WrestleMania 9 when he came out on the camel, and he's coming out in a toga, and he was not afraid to make himself look like a fool, but it was entertaining.
He's coming out backwards, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And the best thing about him too is that he always knew how to make somebody else look like larger than life. Even if they didn't need to, like Andre. He just gave them that extra persona that he didn't have. When he was a good guy. So. Crossroads, the tournament. You came up short this year against the Destined Ones. How do you see how good those guys are? Are they on your radar for the next? Because you have a match with them too.
Yes, coming up on the next show. Jordan and Christian are great. Like I've done a couple matches with them. I actually Jordan was actually involved in the match. The first time I met him, he was involved in the match when I wrestled Coco Beware and Avenel. He was actually, they told me, oh, we're going to pair, this guy with you. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had never met him before. And that was my first, impression of Jordan. And Christian, he's always working hard, as well as Jordan. And they're trying to get their names out there. I definitely see a bright future for them. I believe they're both 18 years old. I wasn't even trained at 18 years old. I wish I was doing indie shows at 18 years old. Yes. So they already have an advantage. And I feel like as long as they just keep trying to get their name out there, they could definitely be two top names on the indie circuit, and who knows from there.
Is that your goal too? To make it to more shows and do more in wrestling? And maybe make it to WWE and stuff like that? Or are you okay where you are now?
The ultimate goal is always to do better for me. I don't know where I'm gonna... I'd love to wrestle for the WWE. I'd love to wrestle for Impact Wrestling. I'd love to wrestle for Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Canada, Mexico, Japan. Really, honestly, I just want to take as much as I can out of wrestling. So, like I said, my ultimate goal, I don't want to put a specific place or a specific, time period. I just want to be able to get my name out there and show people, the kind of wrestler and kind of entertainer I can be, regardless of, whether, we're in Madison Square Garden or in North Brunswick High School. I'm going to still perform for that crowd and still give it my all.
Nice. So, let's see. So, as far as like singles and tag team, like, what are your favorite matches that you have had?
Ooh. Honestly, singles, I would have to say that. Oh, it's hard because we actually, the first UWA show, setting the standard, 2012, the first UWA show was actually headlined by me and Archadia, which at the time I was very, 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 very nervous, as I felt that, the spot that I was given to main event the first ever UWA Elite show against someone like Archadia. And, this is the first time that we were getting the chance to show, a crowd what the UWA guys and, pretty much can bring to the table. And to have that position in the main event was scary, but also very humbling because everything went off great. And, the crowd loved it. I think it was a great way to close out the show. And fast forward back now to setting the standard 2017, Archadia improved. I improved a lot more. I feel like we just really hit it off, and who knows, 4 years from now, if we have another match, that might become my, personal favorite. But I would say as a singles wrestler, the setting the standard 2017 match with Archadia was one of my favorite matches. And as a tag team, I really did enjoy the Spirit Squad match that Seaway and I had. And also the match that me and Seaway just recently had with the Destined Ones. And I'm very excited to have the rematch coming up at the Brawford R event.
Yeah, that was the Combat Cup. Excuse me, I messed that one up. So, before you got into the feud with the Destined Ones, you had the Designated Hitters. How different are team against facing those two guys? Because they're a lot larger than you guys in stature, and plus you had one of the most dangerous matches. You had a Middlesex County street fight.
Yeah, two different opponents for sure. Yeah. The Designated Hitters, properly named because when they hit you, you feel that power behind those hits. And me and I'm sure Seaway too myself have left those matches very sore and very beat up, especially after the Middlesex County Fair street fight. As compared to wrestling with the Destined Ones, I feel like the Destined Ones give us more of that, I would say, where we're going, Christian and Jordan are so fast that they're flying around the ring and everything. And, we're getting a workout just alone in the ring with them. So it's very cool because I like that we can put together two different kinds of style of matches. When you got the, us and the designated hitters, it's, you're getting in your face, a little bit of strong style. We went a little bit with the hardcore style for the street fight. But then when you got us against the destined ones, you get a little bit more of the high flying action, and you get a little bit more, of the cool spots, if you will. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe in the future we can mix all them together and have one phenomenal match. Put all those styles together, have them all clash. Would be very interesting to see.
That'd be cool. They fought. That's the one they already fought. Just throw you guys in the mix now. That'd be great. So with UWA, at least from the outside looking in, like Kyle the Beast and like Archadia, like those guys are kind of like the faces of the company. Are those guys kind of like locker room leaders, or is there anybody who is kind of like a locker room leader when it comes to UWA that, you guys can go to, talk to, get advice and stuff like that?
I would definitely.
Colin West, right?
Colin West, yeah, sure. Of course.
If I ever want to do special guest commentary, I'll go right up to Colin West and ask him for his advice because he's great at what he does.
Definitely.
But yeah, Kyle the Beast, Archadia, Eric Corvis. Yeah. I would say definitely locker room leaders. You could go up to them. Ask them, what's their, opinion on this? What do you think, you think I should do this? You think, if I tried this, would it be too much? And what I like about all three of them is they will give you an honest opinion. They're not going to, sugarcoat it. They think, that's not going to work out, or that's not going to be, they'll tell you, no, don't do that. Or if they think, oh, maybe you could do it this way, and maybe, here, hey, do this like this, and they'll come off a little bit better. And then, them having so much experience and being around for so long really helps elevate guys like myself, Seaway, and a lot of the younger guys into, taking their advice and putting it, into our matches to bring us, like I said, elevate us higher. And I love having them around, and they're very approachable. They're not, hey, don't come and ask me something. If, I needed to ask them something, I'm more than welcome to, answer any questions I have. And that's the kind of guys you want in the locker room. You don't want guys that are, that think that they're, better than somebody else, or, hey, I'm just here because, I'm making my money and I'm getting out of here. I like guys that I can approach and then I can ask and, just learn from them. So the more you can get people like Kyle the Beast, Archadia, Eric Corvis in your locker room, or guys like that, I feel like the better quality shows everybody else would have. Yeah. And that's how if I were to move forward with wrestling, and become more at a higher level, that's what I want to bring to shows, is being a guy that, is there to, watch the show and give people my opinion on stuff. And again, it's an opinion too. Like, I do it at UWA too, because we do have access to watching the show while it's going on, and I'll sit there and I'll watch the matches, and when the guys come back, I'll say, hey man, this was, cool, but maybe, don't do this here, or maybe you could do this here. And again, maybe I'm not in the position to say it, but I tell them that, that's just my opinion, but, that's what I thought watching it as. Because I try to watch it more to try to take that wrestler perspective out of it and watch it more as as a fan watching it. And I feel like a lot of guys that when they actually had Bob Evans come to UWA Elite, he sat and watched the entire show and gave everybody his thoughts on every match, which I thought was really cool, because someone of Bob Evans' status really doesn't have to do that. Yeah. He's doing it because he wants to. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's the kind of guy you want in the locker room. The guy that's there who wants to help. Not helping because he's told to help, or, he's getting paid to help. More so, I'm helping because I just want to see everybody succeed.
Yeah. Do you have a relationship with the ultimate vet there, Magic?
Oh, yes. I love Magic. It's actually a funny story that I would like to tell on this podcast. I believe it might have been after an SWF show or a UWA show. I'm not sure. So we all decided we were going to go out to eat as a group. And Magic's coming with us. And, we always, bust his chops about being grandpa. Magic's been around forever. So we all order our entrees. So everybody starts getting their food. And I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, man, where's my chicken? I know I ordered it. So I decided to ask the waiter. I'm like, hey, man, is my chicken coming out? And he goes, oh, no, it's on the table. That man's eating it right there. That man being Magic. And Magic kind of looks at me and goes, oh, man, I don't even know what I ordered. And he goes, well, if you want to know, the chicken was good. A little lemony, but it was good. So Magic's a great guy to have around, too. Again, another guy that you can approach, and he'll give you his honest opinion. And he helped me out just recently at the Middlesex County Fair. He knows some of the things in the match maybe didn't go the way I wanted to, and he saw that, and he pulled me aside, and he said, hey, man, you could have did this here, you could have did this here. And he took out a good maybe 45 minutes of his time to just talk to me, and I appreciate that so much. And I just love having him around. And I remember the first time he came to UWA, I was like, oh, my God, Magic's coming to UWA. Like, this is crazy. From me going to Jersey All-Pro shows back in, the day of Magic being there, just having him come in and working with, our guys. I just thought it was just overall cool, and he's great to be around.
I gotta admit, you guys had me where the retirement match at UWA Elite. I think I was like the only one starting to clap at first. Standing up, I was like, yeah, this guy he just lost, his opportunity. What a way to go out, 35 years. And then, they're like, no, let's restart the match. And I'm like, damn it, you guys got it.
They had me, too. I thought, I like to be...
He's in the ring, he's tearing up, and I'm like, damn, thanks.
I like to be the guy that enjoys the show, too, so I try not to find out what's going on. If I only like to, if they tell me, hey, you got to do this, okay, I'm doing this, but I don't like to find out everything, because I like to also watch the product, too, and see what grabs me. Because again, I'm a wrestler, but I'm also still a wrestling fan. And what better way to, enjoy wrestling than seeing your friends wrestle and grab you and take you into those moments. It's just a great experience. So, such as a moment like that, I had no idea what was going on. So I thought Magic was retiring too. I was ready to take him out for a drink.
I would have went with you guys. I would have bought you both a drink. But yeah, man, that was great. I mean, he was in the ring. He was in tears, and I was like, oh man, what a perfect ending. This guy just got all the heat on him. Nicholas K. I'm like, this is awesome. And then
it kind of reminded me of
Mark Henry.
One time, yes, the Mark Henry. I was so hooked on that episode of Raw when he came out and he did his retirement. He left his boots in the ring and he started tearing up, and then I was like, oh man. I'm going to miss, Mark Henry was, awesome to have around. I'm going to miss this guy. And I'm all into it. And then he picks up Cena and World's Strongest slams him. And I'm like, oh, they got me. Yeah. And at the same time, I wanted to, but I was like, oh man, he got me. And that's the thing, investing into the crowd. He had me invested and he had me hooked into those emotions. And that's what makes a great performer and a great wrestler. Not only, Mark Henry can't do a 630 off the top rope, but he hooked me into that promo and had me, almost crying in front of the TV. And then he, slammed Cena, and now you're like, oh, come on, man.
And it was crazy because he just started hitting his stride, and later in his career too. The first half was kind of goofy and it wasn't as serious, but damn, towards the end, he really found himself, found a niche, and then now, he's probably on the way out. But it's crazy how you connect with a guy like that, and you're like, maybe they missed out something a long time ago with him. So just gotta talk. We'd be remiss if we didn't bring up checking emails.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How'd that come about?
Emails with TJ.
All right. I don't think I've ever spoke publicly about how this all came about, so this is actually gonna be pretty fun. So I said, all right, well, I don't like to use my personal email to send out to promoters and everything, just because I use my personal email for, my everyday life stuff, and I don't want to clog up that inbox. So I said, let me just make, a email that I can send to promoters to if they want to contact me for bookings. And at the time, I wasn't getting booked really anywhere. Nobody, I was trying to, I would send, some messages out to promoters, really wouldn't hear anything back. So I decided, and I think it was me and Archadia that were joking about it. And he said something, oh yeah, I'm booked here this weekend. I said, oh yeah, I'm not booked, this weekend. And I said, oh, hold on, let me check my email real quick. I said, yep, not booked. And we were just joking about it, and we were just coming up with these scenarios, oh, I go and I check my email, and I was like, oh man, maybe I'll just start doing a web show where I check my email, and I was like, the whole joke will be that I just never receive emails. So I decided, I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna actually run with this idea. I said, the worst thing that can happen is, it gets no views online and that's it, and you just forget about it. I said, but what might come out of it is I might get a couple bookings out of it. Mm. So I decided, I said, all right. So I started writing out a storyline for it, and I started just coming up with whatever I could. If something was funny in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to throw this in the show. And if something was going on in pop culture, I was like, let me throw that in the show. Let me, try to connect with everybody. And then I just started doing it for fun and just took out my computer and I filmed it with my phone and just hit record and just started having fun. And what's actually funny about it, because a lot of people ask me, like, hey, why don't you post any more episodes? And the reason why is because I've been so busy, because I've been getting booked. So I haven't had time to film anything. So I don't know if it was because of those or if it was, just, more people seeing me. But now it's I'm wrestling almost every weekend, and now I have no time to film it. And there's still I have people that come up to me, because I've had, the casual person, watch it, because I used to share it on my Facebook, my Twitter, and everything. And actually, a couple of people that go to my gym are like, "Hey, man, when's the new episodes of Check An Email coming out?" And I'm like, "Oh man, there's people here that's not even wrestling fans that are asking me about this show." And it'll be like, some of my coworkers have saw it, and they're like, "Oh man, dude, that was really funny, man. You should keep doing those." And actually, it ended where there was a to-be continued episode, which I would like to put out the final episode. It just has to have some filming going behind it. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, it'll actually be uploaded. But I do plan on trying to get that out. If I don't get it out before then, I definitely will get it out as a holiday special this holiday season. Nice. As a gift to all my fans. Because I feel like I left a lot of people hanging with that cliffhanger at the end. So I feel like I have to give them the proper ending if I'm not going to film them anymore.
I hope you do continue to film them and even give us the holiday edition if you do. Man, so TJ, man, we really want to thank you for taking the time out and talking with us. You got some upcoming events for UWA Elite, Dropkick
Depression, yep. UWA Elite, and World One Wrestling.
Yep, all in November and probably in the foreseeable future. Where can people find you on social media?
Real easy on my Twitter, TJ Blade. Instagram, TJ Blade. My Facebook, TJ Blade. Real simple. And what else do I have? I do have a YouTube channel where I do post some of my matches, which is I believe it's TJ Blade Pro Wrestling. And yeah, I mean, you could email me if you want to book me at tjbladepro-wrestling@gmail.com.
Nice. See,
I think they should.
Simple. Everybody does different names for everything, and they can't remember.
I lucked out, and my Instagram TJ Blade wasn't taken. I was like, cool. Twitter TJ Blade wasn't taken. Cool.
The funniest thing was Nunzio was like, "Oh yeah, I'm on that, but you know what? You guys tell me what it is." And we're like, I don't know it offhand. I just know you have one. But man, that's awesome that you made it easy for everybody. Yeah. We're Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us here. Make sure you watch this video, subscribe, watch our past videos. And you can check us out on B Plus Player Radio on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and
everywhere.
Everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we're done.
We are out. You have just listened to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, powered by B Plus Player Radio.
One more for the good guy.